Hi, welcome to Let's Talk Forex. So in this episode, we talk to Neal Bateman. He's a professional trader and a trading coach, and he talks to us about his journey from beginner to full-time trader. He provides some great insights about the challenges that go along with trading and how he made the big leap from part-time to full-time trader. Thanks for listening, and as always, you can get hold of us on our social media channels or email us at podcast@fxscouts.com.
Hey, Alison, how are you today?
Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you doing, Chris?
Yeah, I'm all right. Can't complain.
Good.
The sun is shining. Portugal's nice and warm. I imagine
Lovely.
Kenton-on-Sea is too.
It is. I don't want to brag, but it is.
Yeah, no, of course it is. That's good. Well, let's just want to jump straight into our podcast today, Alison. We've got a really good one, I think. As regular listeners will know, we talked to Caroline Rundell. When was it? A couple of months ago, I think.
Yep.
And she had a really interesting story to tell about her own journey through forex trading, and how she's become a trading coach now.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a very inspiring story. I really enjoyed chatting to Caroline.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And so today we're lucky enough to have one of Caroline's mentees who now works with Caroline at Trading Angel. It's Neal Bateman. So welcome, Neal. It's great to have you on.
Thank you very much. Hi, Alison. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Hi, Neal. Yeah, really great to have you on.
Just give that short introduction there. I know you're working at Trading Angel now, and you've started as a trading coach. But maybe tell us a bit about yourself. You can give us a background and how you ended up in trading.
Of course, yeah. So I'm from South Africa originally. Sort of had a career in yachting, in starting out as a crew, then worked as a broker, and eventually into adventure travel within the super yachting sector. So helping yachts go to Antarctica and the Galapagos and all these exciting destinations.
Did you get to go on these trips yourself?
Occasionally. My role was mostly focused on sales and business development. But sort of coming out of COVID, we were short-staffed on the project management side, so sort of had to step into that role. So yeah, I went to some amazing trips in Galapagos, around the Caribbean, so Bahamas and Dominican Republic, a few trips out in Indonesia, which was incredible. So yeah, I got to do some amazing travel and see some amazing things at the same time.
I bet. That's incredible. What a lifestyle. So how come you moved from yachting? Did it go from yachting into trading or?
So I studied economics in university, but never ended up really using it career-wise. Then during lockdown here in the UK, obviously around the world travel shut down. But in the UK, we were placed on a furlough scheme, which basically meant the government paid you a living wage, but you weren't able to work. And the aim of that was to just help companies stay afloat, essentially. So and travel. I wasn't working, and I had some free time. My dad and I invest in silver miners, and my dad sent me a podcast relating to one. And when I was listening to that, they spoke about forex trading. So at the end of the podcast, I sort of started to research it, found an online course, started studying. And that got the ball rolling. And here we are sort of almost 5 years later, absolutely loving the journey so far.
Yeah, that's quite a journey. But everybody's entry into forex trading is a bit different, isn't it? People tend to come from all walks of life. How did you meet up with? How did you find Caroline?
There's a lot of amazing content and resources online for trading, particularly YouTube. I think because technical analysis is a sort of visual teaching medium, if that's the right terminology. I came across Caroline's YouTube channel, so started to listen to her videos, started following her on Instagram, and I then saw that she had a Black Friday special, so I thought, let me give it a go. And yeah, it was one of the best decisions I made. We've been working together for sort of 2 years now. She's really helped me along my journey and been a great coach. And now here I am trading full time and also working with her as a coach.
So how did you make that transition? I mean, were you, well, I guess if you were sort of on furlough and that you know, that was your wage, did you sort of just start trading full time, or did you make a little bit of a foray into it? What did your journey look like? If you could sort of talk us through that process.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I think everyone has a different trading journey, but we can all agree that it's very much up and down, and you go through a process of having some massive wins early on. And I remember going to bed one night after making £6,000 on a £2,000 account, and I was dreaming about the cars and MacBooks I was going to buy and everything. And then sure enough, the next day I lost it all. And that was sort of the moment I decided, okay, Neal, you need to actually put your head down and learn about this. And so I did that. And then I had a bit of a journey through signals, which were profitable for a bit, but then those blew my next account. So then that's when I really doubled down and I don't look or pay attention to signals at all anymore. That's not the way to trade. You need to learn the skill yourself. Mm-hmm. So then with my work, I'd slowly started to plan and save up and it was always my dream to day trade. I thought I'd be doing it within 2 years. It sort of took 4, and it was a meeting of events, just having an appraisal with work, not sort of being able to agree on the direction my role would go in the remuneration. So I was made redundant. So to sort of force my hand a bit, but in hindsight, it was a blessing. It sort of got me to then look at prop funds and to get the capital, so I'd be able to make, even with smaller gains, you can get higher returns in terms of a monetary value, and that really helped me on my path to making it a full-time career.
That must have been a pretty scary moment, though, to be made redundant and to say, "This is it. I'm going to trade now."
At first, it wasn't. I was preparing for it, and I was that was the next step in my mind. So the first 2 months, I was excited, but then once reality sunk in, then it was very nerve-wracking, and I didn't know what direction I was going, how I was going to make this work. Like, had I made the right decision? And I then just really put my head down. I was working, long hours every single day through the weekends, just studying, reading, back testing, and then it kind of just, the more I worked at it, the clearer the path became, and it all sort of plays.
So, I mean, you must have found that the trading psychology sort of played a big role at that point, where you think you can't do it and there's so much pressure, and then you don't want to miss trades, but you don't want to overtrade. Can you talk us a little bit through the psychology? Because I think that's a big factor for most traders, of course.
Yes, the psychology is definitely a huge part of it. I think I'd kind of come to terms with that with the help of Caroline and my previous trading through it. I'd been fairly consistently profitable before, but not at the level that I am now. It was a huge stress, but I said to myself, I gave myself sort of 6-month runway, and I said, I've got savings that I've put aside for this. Just put your head down, it's an investment in yourself. And I did that, and I just tried to remain positive, and thankfully it worked.
Oh, that's fantastic. Can you talk to us a little bit about your trading style? I mean, you sort of mentioned earlier that you're more of a day trader. Are you a scalper? You sort of hold positions overnight for long periods, or what type of trading do you do?
I'm a day trader. I sort of trade on 2 strategies. Both are based off of the smart money concepts taught by ICT. And they're also a sort of blend of what Caroline has taught me and what I've learned through ICT. So the one strategy is very short term. It's on the sort of New York Open. And that should typically never be longer than an hour and a half on each position. My other strategy focuses on pound US dollar and euro US dollar, and the average sort of holding time is about 6.5 hours. There are occasions when I will hold it overnight, but it just depends on any news releases, if particularly in the morning.
So it's also a combination of sort of fundamental and technical analysis, obviously, that you use.
Yes, yeah. So you have to have the 2. I was predominantly focused on technical for a very long time. But then once you have that fundamental analysis understanding, you can, which is really the main driver of the markets, it really does increase your profitability. You just have more successful trades. You know when not to enter, even though your strategy might be aligning. So yeah, fundamental analysis is definitely a big part of it.
That's it's really interesting. It dovetails so neatly with what Caroline was telling us, that she started, purely technical, and it took her a few big losses before she realized that she really needs to know the fundamental. And I think a lot of traders, especially when they're starting out, think the same way. But you'd already had a background in economics. You'd studied economics. Did you find that it came? I mean, you said that you started off very focused on technical analysis. But did you find that your background in economics maybe helped you pick up the fundamentals a bit quicker?
Yes, I definitely think so. There's just sort of a better understanding of the relationships of what a news release will affect and the mechanics behind that, I think, was definitely easier for me to grasp and understanding, sort of also just refreshing my knowledge from what I'd learned in university. So yes, that definitely helped. But you also don't have to have a deep economical understanding to understand those links. You can learn them. It might just take a little longer to understand the how and the why.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that Caroline pointed out as well, is that she thought that fundamental analysis is often taught, not incorrectly, but in a more complicated way. And maybe that's why I think a lot of technical traders maybe shy away from it. Maybe they feel a bit daunted by having to getting into learning it. I mean, do you find that in your coaching?
I think so, yes. A lot of the students haven't really even come around to the idea of studying it yet. So
right.
when you do start to propose it or teach it to them, they feel a little bit overwhelmed. But once you talk them through it and explain why they need to learn it and how it can impact their trading, you see them. And when it clicks, you really feel quite a sense of happiness and gratitude that they're starting to see the bigger picture.
Yeah. I can imagine. That's fantastic. We always talk about, a lot of our listeners are just beginners starting out as well. If you can look back on yourself when you first started, what advice would you have given that person? What advice would you give beginners? What's the number one most important thing? Well, not the most important thing, but maybe a selection of the most important things that you wish you knew then that you know now.
I think one of the biggest things to come into trading is to have realistic expectations. You sort of follow these YouTube channels and Instagram accounts, and they're all selling a dream, and they'll say you can trade 20 minutes a day and you'll be making 10,000 a month. And that's just not the reality. I mean, you can eventually get there, but it's going to take a lot of time and effort and work. So you just need to have realistic expectations of what trading is. You get lots of these sort of quotes and sayings in trading that sound a bit cheesy at the time, but as you learn and go through the journey, you realize they're actually true. And the one I really like is trading is the hardest way to make easy money. And it's so true. You have to really put in the time, but once you get there, you can make a lot of profit.
I mean, what advice would you, give to people in terms of managing their risk? Do you have any advice for beginners?
Well, I mean, the first step, of course, is to always use a stop loss. I only ever risk 1% of my account, and that the lot size will adjust accordingly depending on where I place that. So yeah, always definitely use a stop loss. And it also comes down to just planning your trade and trading your plan. So I'm a massive proponent of back testing. Once you have a strategy in mind, just do hours and hours and hours of back testing, because it gives you confidence in your strategy. You can see how the market moves and you can plan each trade. And once you know how to plan your trade, you just have to execute that. So when I enter a trade, I'll mark up my take partial points where I move my stop loss to break even. And even if I'm tempted to not take a partial profit, I will always stick to it because I've hit that level. I know that's my plan and my strategy. And because I've back tested it, I'm confident in it. And I know that in the long run, it'll work. So you just have to, trade your edge and let that play out over time.
Can you tell us a little bit about your biggest wins and losses? I mean, you don't have to give us numbers, but you sort of mentioned earlier that you had a £6,000 win, and you were dreaming about cars, and the next day you lost it all. Have you found that happens? Obviously, it probably happens less frequently now, but maybe you can give us a little bit of insight into that.
Yeah, so that was definitely my biggest loss in terms of blowing the account and percentage of what the account was to where I went. That doesn't happen anymore because of my risk management and always having that 1% stop loss in place. And also I'll never place more than 3 trades in a day if they're losers. So if I'll give myself 3 opportunities to enter. If I hit 3 stop losses, that's it. I'm done and I walk away from my trading desk.
Right.
In terms of biggest wins, I've had some nice sort of 9 and 10-hour returns. But one of my biggest wins was quite recently. I was going on a ski trip. It was early on into trading full time. I'd committed it before I'd left my previous job. So I was kind of financially committed, but I was like, should I be doing this? Should I go away for a week? Shouldn't I just be working? So I felt a bit of guilt. So I said to myself, okay, you can go. And I said I'd ski in the mornings and work in the afternoons, which I did do.
Okay.
First day I didn't trade, there was no trade set up. And the second day I had a really great trade, which paid for my entire ski trip.
Amazing.
And a little bit more on top of that. So that was just a great sort of reward for myself, which was a big win for me.
Oh,
that's a really great story. Do you find that, I mean that, skiing and then trading, do you find that was disruptive to your trading pattern? Or did you find it quite easy to have leisure time mixed in with your trading time?
It was quite easy. I don't want to live that sort of lifestyle. I want to work when I want to work and then take the time off to just relax. But the trading, it was also a good test of being able to work remotely. So I bought a portable second screen and trialed that, and it all worked very well. So if ever I did want to go on holiday somewhere, or when I do go on holiday, I might say 1 week I'll just sit somewhere in a nice beach villa or something, and I'll use that week for trading. And then the next week I will put my laptop away and focus completely on the holiday. So I don't think you want to blend it. You need to have that separation. Just give yourself and your mindset some space. But yeah, it can be done and it works. It was just that I wanted to deal with my guilt, and because I was so excited about trading, I was happy to do it.
And that's, I mean, talking about this more generally, it's a lot of things that beginners struggle with, is, they're working 9 to 5 jobs mainly, and then they're trying to trade when they get the time, whether that's early in the morning or it's in the evenings or even, God forbid, crypto over the weekends. Did you find, when you first started trading, you were on furlough, but do you find that a lot of the beginners that come to you looking for coaching, that they struggle with that kind of lifestyle?
Are you talking about the adjustment from moving out of a 9 to 5 or sort of balancing it?
Well, balancing a 9 to 5. Because when you start trading, you're not going to quit your job immediately.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of the time it often comes around to sort of finding the right strategy or time of day that they can set aside to trade. So I'm actually working with a client at the moment. And he's happy in his job. He doesn't want to leave it and become a full-time trader, but he enjoys trading. So we've sort of tailored a strategy a little bit to work around what he needs. And it's, you sort of set your price levels early in the morning between 7 and 8, and then he can just get alerts on his phone and check in when that is. And it's kind of set and forget strategy. So once you enter it, you can kind of forget it. There's only one risk management point when you hit 2R. And that's when you move to break even, and then you leave the trade again. So quite an easy set and forget strategy that he's not implementing yet. We're still going through the process, but I think it will work really well for him.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So there is a way around it. That's really fantastic. Yeah, it's always a struggle, I think, for people to figure it out. One thing that we talk about a lot is we've already mentioned it a couple of times here, is trading psychology and what it takes. And you talk about, how you've made those wins and those losses and dreaming of cars and then probably being utterly distraught when you lost everything. And I think it takes, a certain mental fortitude to get back up and keep on going. Do you think that it takes a certain type of person to be a trader, or do you think that anybody can trade?
I think anybody can trade. I would say that the one characteristic I see in most people who want to become traders who are successful traders is resilience, because it's it breaks you down the market. Even if you've put in the time, you've back tested your strategy, you've abided by all your rules, sometimes the market will just move against you, and that's the nature of the game. But it can take a toll, and you just have to sort of learn to not take it personally, and just if you're resilient and you stick to it, you'll come out on top in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of also, if you've seen a strategy work sort of 80% of the time, and you happen to hit that 20% when it does, and it's so, it can just like really weigh down on you and just make you think that you're not capable of it. But if you can also just sort of, I guess, be consistent, you will, see those profits mount up. So it is really
exactly.
it's a psychological game. Hey.
Yeah, and that's why I'm a huge proponent of backtesting. I'll probably mention backtesting a few more times in our conversation, but it really does just give you the confidence in your strategy, because if you've seen it play out over time and you've sort of lived through those drawdowns, you then know, you just say to yourself, okay, this is a drawdown, that's fine. I just need to stick to my plan, not break my rules, and I'll come out on the end profitable. So yeah, backtesting for me is really good. And there's some great software out there that gives you some great analytics on the back of it. So you can backtest quite quickly. Whereas previously I would backtest using TradingView or MetaTrader, and it was a very manual, mechanical process. But this just allows you to trade, and then you can look at the analytics after.
What do you, if you don't mind me asking, what do you use now for backtesting?
So I use FX Replay.
Okay.
They're sort of a third-party software that actually uses the TradingView platform. So I think a lot of traders do their analysis on TradingView. So it's quite a seamless transition. And yeah, it's a subscription model. I think it's $25 or $30 a month. But yeah, it's definitely worth it.
Fantastic.
And I think it also just shows the value of having a coach or a mentor. Because I think if you get into this on your own, you're not sure if it's just you that's got a bad strategy that doesn't work, or if, when you have a mentor and a coach saying, no, you need to stick to that because it will work out. You've back tested it. You can see that. So I think, isn't that what you find, the traders that come to you, that they find that value when they speak to you guys, and they just get that encouragement from you as well. I would think that would be the real value of having a mentor.
Yes, that's definitely a huge part of it. When you're having your sort of down days and you're doubting yourself, and you just don't know if this is the right path for you, just to have someone to talk through that, and they can share their journey with you, and maybe help you see the light at the end of the tunnel. It really doesn't make a big difference. Caroline did that for me a number of times, and yeah, she's just very positive and a cheerful mentor. So I was very lucky to have her.
Yes, she is very positive and cheerful. She was a joy to have on. Cool. Well, I think let's take a break here, and then when we come back, I know you trade with a prop firm, Neal, and I want to discuss, we want to talk a little bit about what that's like and how prop firms operate.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode. If you're looking for more trading education, visit our website or FX Scout's YouTube channel. We have plenty of resources available. And if you're looking for a good Forex broker, go and check out our broker reviews on fxscouts.com.
Yeah, we provide an in-depth analysis of each broker, highlighting both their pros and cons. And you can always write to us as well. We're happy to answer any questions. You can get to us at podcast@fxscouts.com. And now let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, and we're back. So Neal, you trade with a prop firm. Can you tell us a little bit about prop trading and why you choose to trade with a prop firm? You mentioned earlier just about the capital. But yeah, tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So I decided I was initially trading with a prop fund even before becoming a full-time trader, just on small
Hmm.
accounts. And the main reason that I did that was to just practice trading on a larger account and um, getting the psychology right when having bigger numbers in front of you. Um, so I was doing that for a while. I then decided to sort of buy a larger account and would start the evaluation for 200,000 account.
Okay.
Um, and the main reason for that is if you can sort of make 2 or 3% in a month, you can still pay the bills, which was my initial
Hmm.
goal. My initial goal was just to make enough just to sort of pay the rent and some bills on top of that, so I didn't have to eat too much into my savings whilst I figured it all out. And yeah, I was very lucky with the first evaluation. I sort of hit a period that was quite profitable for me, so I passed the evaluation quite quickly. And I've been trading on that account ever since, and have actually opened up a couple other evaluations recently with some other prop funds just to sort of test the water and see what's out there. And also there was some delay in payments from the fund I was trading with. There's a
Hmm.
bit of a lot going on in the prop firm world at the moment. So we'll see how that all plays out. So I thought I'd rather hedge my risk and go with some other prop funds as well, just in case.
Just in case. Yeah, before I do want to talk about, the problems, well, the rumblings, in the prop trading industry at the moment. But can you maybe back up a little bit, Neal, and tell us how prop trading works and how it's different? I mean, what is the process of getting in with a prop trading firm?
So there's two different types of prop firms. You have what's called A book and B book. And sort of depending on which one you trade with, it might determine what the rules are and how the evaluation works.
Hmm.
So an A book is a fund that will give you, once you've passed the evaluation, a live account.
Hmm.
So that means you're trading with real money and real returns, and the profit split. When you make money, the fund actually makes money. A B book sort of works more like an insurance company, where your evaluation fee would be similar to an insurance premium. Um, and basically, they're counting on only a small percentage of traders making it through to the evaluation and eventually getting a payout, much as an insurance company does with, let's say, car insurance. There's going to be a small number of claimants and
Hmm.
them having to pay out. So your A book is kind of a prop fund that's more in your corner and wants you to be successful, and a B book kind of tweaks the rules a bit so they're more in their favor to manage their risk in a way. And then depending on that, the rules of the evaluation can differ, especially what the rules you trade on. Um, but yeah, to go through the evaluation, there's normally 1, 2, or 3 steps, and those will entail a maximum drawdown. So that'll be a total from your account
Hmm.
or a daily drawdown. And then to pass the evaluation, you have to hit a certain profit percentage, and that will be typically on a 1 step, probably 10%. If it's a 3 step, it sometimes goes 8 and then 5 and 5% for the next 2 steps.
Okay. And then, and then you're given a live account and you can trade. Um, and just based on what you were just saying there, it sounds like you prefer to work with A-book, prop firms.
Yes, yeah. So the one I'm trading with at the moment that I started with from the beginning is a B book. I initially
Okay.
had two funds with them. The one was closed out because of a lot consistency rule, which wasn't something I was familiar with. Um, and I then started to dive into it, and that's when I found out about this whole A book, B book differentiation. So the new funds I'm with now are A book. And the other benefit about A book is once you've had a number of payouts with them, they'll also scale your account. So they'll increase
Hmm.
it sometimes either doubling or 50%. And then you can build your account up to 1.5, 2 million. So I think that's the
Amazing.
ultimate goal, is to
Yeah.
just stick with an A book prop fund, show them that you're consistently profitable, and then you can grow with them, and they want that for you.
Yeah, very interesting. Now, we've recently seen that prop firms are restricting news trading. I think it's something that came out a couple of weeks ago. It's something that you've been talking about, understanding the fundamentals, and I'm assuming you know how to trade during the news. But has this affected your trading?
When I did start, I did trade the news. I'm not trading the news at the moment with my two strategies that I'm using.
Oh.
And yeah, there's definitely been some restrictions in the prop fund world. I think a lot of it has to do with they've all sort of rushed to what's called HFT evaluations, which is high frequency trading. So you can buy an evaluation, but on the evaluation, you're allowed to use a high frequency trading bot to pass for you. And then that meant that a lot of people were getting through to the live funded accounts and requesting payouts. So a lot of these sort of B-book prop funds have now been getting a lot of payout requests, and I don't think they'd fully managed their risk correctly to pay those payouts. So we're seeing a lot of those funds sort of failing at the moment. And so I think one of those tweaks is to reduce news trading.
Right. So that's probably behind that. And there's just been general issues with prop trading. I think, it's become incredibly popular over the last few years. I think that's probably where we need to start this conversation. There's many more traders trading through prop firms now than a few years back. I remember, Alison, we were talking the end of last year. I think it was my Forex funds in the US that was hit with the CFTC investigation for apparently running a scam through evaluations. But then we've seen since then, I think MetaTrader has kicked off a lot of prop firms off their platform. And there's general other rumblings of discontent. I mean, we're just looking this morning that I think another firm is that had stopped giving payouts for 3 weeks and has now come back to life and is relocating to the Cayman Islands. What do you think is the root cause behind all this? Is it just risk management, or do you think maybe regulators are waking up to the potential for bad actors in this area? And where do you think the future of prop trading lies?
I think it's a bit of a mix of both. Mm-hmm. One of the issues that's also occurring with brokers is a lot of brokers aren't allowed to trade or have accounts with US clients. And I think some US clients have been using VPNs to trade with other brokers. And as soon as the local regulatory authority has cottoned on to that fact, they're restricting those brokers, and MetaTrader is then sort of kicking those brokers off of their platform. And then it's leaving the prop funds to scramble to find new brokers who can actually trade on MetaTrader or provide or migrate their existing accounts across. I think there's a lot going on. It's a bit murky at the moment. There's no one sort of really giving any clear indication of what exactly is going on.
Exactly.
I think prop funds are definitely here to stay. It's a profitable business for them. And it's profitable for traders as well if you know how to use them correctly. So I think they're here to stay. They just have to, work through these bumps in the road.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, I mean, as you say, it's all a bit murky. It's very hard to tell. And we do this for a living.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very hard to tell exactly the root cause of all this, but it all seems to be happening at the same time. But you're the prop firms that you work with. You don't feel, well, you said that one of them, there was a delayed payout, but I assume they're paying out again now. But you feel fairly comfortable with the ones that you work with?
So the one I'm trading with is called Nova Funding. They, I've had, the majority of my payouts through them. They sort of advertise that payouts will be every 3 to 5 days. I would say on average it's probably been about 2 weeks, but my last payment took sort of almost 8 weeks to come through.
Oh, wow. That is a long time.
And I was sort of worried they were going the way of all these other funds recently. Mm-hmm. I've now opened 2 accounts. One is with FXify. They're an A-book fund, and they've been great so far, very responsive. I'm still working through the evaluation in that one. And then another B-book fund, but has fairly favorable trading rules, even though they're a B-book fund called Optimal. Okay. And all the reviews and people I've been sort of chatting to about it, the feedback's been very positive. So let's see. I'll be eligible to make my first payout request on the 12th of May, so I can give you an update on how that goes then.
Please do. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we're very interested. Very interested to hear about that. I mean, with your coaching, I mean, do you recommend that the people you coach that they start with prop firms, or do you stay away from that entirely and let them decide how they want to start out?
I think when they're at the right point too, I think it's a great way to trade with a larger account. So even if that's 10,000 or 25,000, you can buy that evaluation, and it's a few $100s.
Okay.
So you're not risking too much money, but it gives you the larger account to trade on. You can start working your psychology and start to learn how to work through the evaluation. So it's definitely something I recommend, but at the right time for the clients.
Yeah, of course. And speaking of, I mean, you being a trading coach, you're a trading coach now as well as well as a Forex trader. How did that transition? I know you met Caroline and she coached you. At what point did she approach you, and why did you say yes?
So I was keeping Caroline updated with my progress as I was trading full time, sort of sending her screenshots of all my payouts and everything, and just to sort of let her know and say thank you, and to share my journey with her. And she was very excited about it and gave me a call one day and said, because she's studying to be a financial advisor now, so doesn't have as much time to coach as she would like to do. And she approached me and said, look, if you would like to, I think it'd be great if you could join me on the team and take on some clients, and you can really share your journey with them, and maybe give them another viewpoint to help them out. And the timing was great. My trading was going well, and I was starting to feel a bit isolated. So when you're trading at home by yourself, it's just you and the screen. You don't have Zoom calls or phone calls with anyone else related to what you're doing. So I really love the social interaction of it. It also makes sure that you sort of not resting on your laurels. You have to make sure you are continually learning, and you sometimes get asked questions that you don't know the answer to. So you go back and you'll research that and be able to come back or send them an email or an update and say, look, this is why this is. And it helps me to be a better trader, gives me the social interaction, and it's just great to be able to speak with other traders.
I mean, one of the things I know you were saying that you trade, I'm assuming you trade indices and then you trade currencies like you were talking about earlier. And can you take that sort of style of trading across to other assets? Say if the traders trade something else, or do you find that's quite a difficult transition?
I think when a trader's starting out, you want them really to just focus in and hone in on one currency pair or index and one strategy, and just really, really focus in on that and get comfortable and confident with that one. The strategies I don't use don't really transfer across to assets such as crypto or gold. But I do have a gold strategy that has a high probability, but just a few setups. So that's quite a good one also to teach, because it's slow moving, but when you get in, it's a higher probability. And so it's something that they can also do in conjunction with focusing on another currency pair or index.
What indices do you trade? We didn't actually ask that earlier.
So I trade the Dow Jones and NASDAQ, so just the US indices. I'm currently back testing the S&P 500 as well. The same strategy that I use for pound dollar, euro dollar. So I've just started that. So if I can see that it works there, I'll start to use that as well.
And how are you finding teaching? I mean, have you been, it doesn't sound like in your background there was a teaching aspect of that. I mean, you were on, doesn't sound like there's much to do, working on yachts. But maybe there is. And do you find it rewarding? Do you find it difficult? Do you find it challenging?
It's definitely challenging. At first, I had a bit of imposter syndrome. I sort of felt like how can I be coaching and a mentor? But once I did a few online consultations before taking on some clients, and I started to speak to them and talk through little bits and pieces of what I'd learned along my journey, I realized actually that I did know a lot, and I had something to share. And now I'm really enjoying it. It's great to see people on their journey to help them, and I'm looking to hopefully have a success story like Caroline and be able to say that I've helped coach someone who's now trading full time.
No, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. And yeah, so we've mentioned, your advice for beginners, but when you get people walk through your door and they say they're looking for a trading coach, is there one single thing the first thing that you look to before you sit down, before you do anything else? Or is every case different?
I think every case is different. That's why the initial online consultations are really good, because you just get an understanding of where they are in their trading journey, what they're looking for. And then when you come into your coaching session, I try and have at least 3 sessions planned out in advance and talk them through that and just get their feedback, and you tweak it. So it really has to be customized. There obviously is a lot of crossover in what you're teaching and how you're teaching it, but you just need to tailor that to where they are in their journey.
Right, of course.
Yeah, well, I think that about wraps it up. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Neal, that you would like to share with the listeners, just in terms of general advice?
I think I mentioned earlier, resilience. Just stick at it. Just keep your head down and focus on it. There's a lot of resources online, but don't get sold the get rich quick scheme. Just make sure you do your due diligence on everything. And that includes if you're going to start trading with a prop fund or prop firm or get a mentor, coach, or anything. Just make sure you do your due diligence, because it's a crazy world out there, but there are also a lot of fantastic resources and things you can listen to and watch and read about. So just keep your head down and study, back test, and you can make it happen.
Fantastic. And if anybody listening to this, they wanted to get in touch with you, if they're inspired by your story and they decide they want you to be their coach, how would they get in touch with you, Neal?
I think email would be best. So that's Neal@tradingangelcoaches.com.
Neal@tradingangelcoaches.com.
Neal. Hey, Neal?
Yes, yeah. Neal.
Super. Well, thank you very much, Neal. It's been really fantastic to talk to you. It's been fascinating hearing your story. Yeah, we love this, hearing everybody's, as you say, every trading journey is different, and they're never not interesting.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's been an honor and great to chat with you guys.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yes, one day I will be posting some content.
Super. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Neal.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.